Welcome to Haken, an Animal Crossing podcast, your podcast dedicated to all things Animal Crossing. This episode is brought to you by Gabriela Acevedo, one of our newest Patreon patrons. Today, Sergio and I will be talking about the possible April Direct, VR in Animal Crossing Switch, and how many towns we plan on having in the next game. So to begin, before we get started with everything, hello Sergio, how are you doing?
Hi Chewy, I'm doing quite well. I'm playing a lot of different games on the Switch. I love that thing, man. Every day I love it more. How are you doing?
Yeah. A lot of I gotta know this. How many different games? What are they?
I'm playing like 5 or 6 different games. I need to go back to Zelda though. I don't want to forget that one. And I know you live streaming and it looks crazy already.
Yeah. I've been doing the DLC story stuff, so it's been
Nice.
good. I've been having fun with it. I like the game.
Yeah, and there's always like a sale or two. There's even multiple ones at the same time, and there's a lot of little good indie games. I'm playing. I just got a little like twin stick shooter called Bleed 2. It's pretty good. Overwhelm is really good. It's a scary platformer, and yeah, I'm even playing a little $1 game called Quest of the Golden Duck, which is like a Pac-Man clone. But even little games like that, they just work and they're good.
Yeah, well, that's pretty fun. Yeah, I'm doing well. I'm not playing 5 different games, but I've realized I am playing 3 different games right now. I guess Zelda, of course, like you said, I've been streaming that, but on my own time, I've been going through World of Light on Smash. And
Nice.
then I just started Undertale, which I've been playing with Jackie, and a lot of people love it, and I can see why. For sure.
Nice.
It's easy to see it. It's very charming. We've been charmed the whole way through. It's been great. Like, it's been an easy playthrough with Jackie, too, because I always kind of worry with things that are kind of, I guess, the battle system, I would relate
Mhm.
it to kind of like turn-based RPG type of things
Mhm.
with a different little twist on it that's pretty fun. But yeah, I always worry with stuff that's like, oh, you're running into random enemies, like random encounter stuff, because I don't know how long that's going to take or how long it'll take to get you through to the next spot, you know?
Right. Yes.
Um, but this one, like, it pushes you along pretty quickly. So it never really gets boring. There's always like, oh, I'm at the next story or plot line, you know? And the characters are very well written. It's very charming the whole way through. So we've been liking it a lot.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so I guess before we get into the official show, we have an important announcement. We're going to start with the announcement this week. um, so, one thing that I've been hearing a lot on the Discord is that people want a movie night, and I agree 100%. So I think we're going to start an official Haken movie night. It's going to be on Rabbit, or rabb.it for those who don't know. I'll have a link in the description of the podcast and the YouTube videos and stuff, just so you can join the group. Probably mostly the podcast, though. I'll make an official announcement when we get closer to it. But the first movie night is on the last Saturday of April. That's April 27th, 2019, because that's the year. Just in case all of you 2020ers are listening right now. This has already happened, but know in the future that well, actually, this might change. I don't know. We'll see. But for now, it's the last Saturday of the month, every month. And we're going to do them at 1 p.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. Eastern. So I found that across the world, with all the different people listening, that seems to be the best time for it.
Yes. Yes. Mhm.
Depending on like if you're earlier, later, all that sort of thing. So yeah, mark your calendars. And like I said, there's a group and there's a link in the show notes. So if you want to join, that's where it will be. So it's a group on the Rabbit, and that's where I will be streaming everything. So it should be fun. It should be really cool. Yeah. And I guess before we move on from this, I should mention the first movie is, of course, going to be the Animal Crossing movie.
Nice. Yes.
We've done a movie night. Yeah. We've done a movie night in the past, and we've done that movie. But we figured if we're going to kick this off and have it be an official thing that we do every month, then the first one should be Animal Crossing. So yeah, maybe
Yeah.
we'll do a yearly viewing of that one.
Oh, that, yeah, for sure. And yeah, Rabbit works really well. We can always help anyone that is not familiar. I believe you do need to make an account before you join, but basically it allows us to watch all of us. Anyone that signs in can watch the movie, and we're pretty much watching it at the same time. And there's a little chat window there, so we can keep in touch and talk about the movie. So yeah, it's pretty awesome, and it works really well, and it's free.
Yeah, it's totally free. I totally forgot to mention that. Yeah, I guess, and then in the future, like I said, we'll do more movies outside of the Animal Crossing movie. Probably very like animation focused. But the only thing that I have to make sure that we can do is that we can stream it, because all of these are
Right.
streamed movies. Like I can't plug in a DVD player or something to it, which is unfortunate, but. Well, for now, we can stream things, and I'll find a way to get it.
Yeah.
So let's get into this, Sergio, and I'm really glad we're recording right now because something just dropped on Twitter about this first topic.
Right.
We'll see what we'll see what we think about it. But for now, we're going to talk about the Nintendo Direct, the possible Nintendo Direct at least, that could be happening this week. Maybe by the time this episode is out, like it's been announced or something, you know,
Yeah.
which would be insane. But yeah, just so you all know, we record these on Sundays. They go up on Tuesdays. And so there could very well have been a Nintendo Direct announcement by the time this is actually up. But what we want to talk about specifically and all the time is Animal Crossing Switch news. So let's talk about this. So we're getting closer to April 15th, the day that many of us believe Nintendo could be teasing for news. This could be updated a little bit because right now, there was just a tweet from a place that's calling April 11th the Nintendo Direct Day.
Mhm.
And yeah, I guess, have you seen this tweet?
Yes, and like the first thing that comes to mind is that's a Thursday, and we had a lot of directs on Thursdays.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people always tend to guess the Thursday as the date, but you know, I think have the past two been on Wednesdays?
There's been a couple of Wednesdays too. Yeah.
Yeah, so, you know, a lot of them fall on Wednesday or Thursday. And of course, the biggest thing with April 15th being the day is just that, like, that's a Monday. I don't know
Right.
how many times Nintendo has done a Monday Direct. Probably not many. But, you know, like, Nintendo has done Directs on a lot of different days, so it's pretty surprising.
Yes.
But yeah, it's gonna be pretty exciting to see a possible Direct announced either this week, next week. I don't know when, but I have a feeling it's gonna be before Reggie leaves. But before I get into that, let's take a quick look back at the history of news and why I think there could be a hint for a Direct coming up. You know.
Yes.
So the first is, I always have to mention this one. Nintendo announces Animal Crossing Switch for 2019 on September 13th, 2018. So last year, September, we finally got news about the game. And if you recall, I think all of our conversations after that were like, they have to show us this game in January. We just thought the year would start with a bang, and that bang would, of course, be Animal Crossing, you know? There wasn't a doubt in my mind at that time. Unfortunately, I was wrong. Everybody was wrong because there wasn't even a Direct in January.
Yes.
We had to wait till February. And unfortunately, 5 months after, literally exactly 5 months after, we get a Direct, and there's nothing.
Nothing.
Nothing is said for a very long time after this announcement. And I think to this day, nothing has really been said about Animal Crossing, you know?
Right.
So following that, Reggie Fils-Aimé announced his retirement. I actually don't remember the date on this. Do you remember if it was like February or?
I want to say it was sometime in March.
Okay. Which makes sense. It's about a month before. I think it must have been like early March if it were in March.
Right. Right.
Yeah, so Reggie, he said he's retiring. He's done. And then I tweeted about that, and I said, I have a new theory. Reggie's handing over the reins to Doug Bowser, and that coincides with an Animal Crossing trailer, because, of course, Animal Crossing is a game where you say goodbye to very good friends, and you say hello to new ones. So that feels like well, that's what's happening in real life. Like,
Yes.
Reggie's gonna leave. He's a very good friend of ours. We love the guy. And now this new person's moving in, Doug Bowser, and we don't really know about him, and his name is Bowser. So it's suspicious.
Right, right.
So after that, Nintendo tweeted about taxes. This tweet featured Tom Nook and how, he could help us out and he has exactly what we need to spend our tax refund.
Right.
So this is the first mention of anything Animal Crossing since September 13th, 2019. I will say, after that direct where Nintendo announced Animal Crossing, they did go out of their way and they tweeted just to be very clear with everybody that Animal Crossing is indeed getting a new mainline game. They
Yes.
said the word mainline, and they said it's coming in 2019. So that is an official tweet from Nintendo that says that. So to see Tom Nook show up out of nowhere, just talking about, it sounds like a hint to me,
Yes.
And so this is the clue that essentially told us, all right, maybe April 15th is when we'll get a direct of some sort, and maybe this is going to show Animal Crossing, because, we haven't heard anything. It's the only 2019 slated game without a trailer, and, I think it's time for a trailer. What do you think?
Yeah, yeah. In why would Reggie pick a day like a Monday to retire? It just, I mean, I think if there's any possibility of a direct in April, and this is the date, and these are the little hints that we're picking up. Yeah.
Yeah, and I do think that is bizarre, because I would think somebody would retire after a Friday.
Yes.
Yeah, it just seems like a Friday would be the day to go. But Monday, I guess that works. Monday's a fine day. My first question to you, Sergio, do you think there will be a Nintendo Direct in April?
So okay, it's it's been a tough question, and I kind of do have my answer, and it's probably not the answer that most of us want to hear, but I think there is gonna be a direct in April, and I think it is gonna be soon, if not this current week, then the one after. But I'm sorry to say, I think it's gonna be a Smash Direct again, one more of those.
Oh no.
So the reason is because, as we know, the Joker is coming as DLC, and there's actually official statement from Sakurai that he's coming, quote unquote, soon. So that's all we have. But it's been known that a Joker is coming in April for a long time. So I think it would be nice for Nintendo to announce the character and to also talk about the next DLC character coming probably in a couple of months. But it would be nice to have a new one and then to know who to expect in a couple of months. And that's why I think a Smash Direct is in the way. Smash has been a little bit quiet, and I think it's still a big franchise and a big deal when it comes to Nintendo, especially with the DLC they're doing. Depending on who the new character is, that could really sparkle a lot of conversation and rumors and everything. So I do think there's going to be a direct, and I think it's going to be Smash. I don't expect a traditional Nintendo Direct until June, actually, E3. I think there might be another Nindies showcase in May, and then Nintendo's E3 presentation in June. That's what I'm expecting right now, with the Smash one in April, too.
And this is something I have been worried about, because I think probably the last month or so, I've been thinking that if there's just a lot of Smash stuff coming out, and Smash fans are, of course, they're treated well. They get tons of news all the time, and with a big update being planned for April, including a new character, I feel like there's a lot for them to talk about with Smash, and that's what I'm scared of. That's
Yes.
There is a good reason to have it, but at the same time, this type of Smash announcement, I feel like, I don't know, is it worth having a full direct for Smash at this point, or is this one of those really hype announcements for Smash fans where it's like, all right, Joker's available right after this direct, and then because that seems like the type of thing that would stealth drop, you
Yes,
know?
yes.
Just surprise, here's the character, you can play him now. But what threw this off for me is that April 25th, I guess the Persona team, who's the developer? Atlas, right?
Yes.
So Atlas, the developer for Persona, they are planning an event on April 25th that is, I guess Persona 5 related. And so everybody's kind of expecting Persona 5 to be announced for Switch then. And, they're the company that made Joker, this character that's coming. So maybe, and this is a positive for us, maybe they're going to save a Joker type of news thing for that event.
Yes.
Because like this is a very third party character for Nintendo.
Right.
The character hardly exists on Nintendo consoles at all.
Yes.
And so it would make sense to throw this character over to, the base fan base. Or like the biggest fan base. So
Yes.
I would think the people who are fans of this character, fans of this franchise, they're going to be tuning into the news about it on the 25th. So I don't know. I feel like maybe we'll get a little bit of news on that during a regular direct. So maybe it's not a Smash Direct after all. But
right.
At the same time, that's just me trying to deny Smash from getting another direct.
Right.
Because they've had a lot. And I'm just like, there are other things to talk about.
Yes.
Super Mario Maker 2 is 2 months away at this point. Like, it's coming out in June. And this is the time to start learning about that game, Start getting more in depth with it. Because Nintendo's got to start running those ads all over TV, the internet, everywhere. And Super Mario Maker 2 is going to be huge. I don't think there's a single person who doubts that. Like, Mario is always huge. And to have the game where you can make your own Mario levels in the hands of people that... Like, this doesn't exist. I mean, you could say it exists on the Wii U, but the Wii U had such a small
right.
fan base and small amount of people who played it that this game might as well not exist right now. It's going to sell like crazy.
Yes.
Is what I'm saying. And so they just need to start talking about it. So, I don't know. With the other stuff going on, I just feel like I don't want it to be Smash again, or just Smash. I want it to be, like, sure, throw some Smash news in, but, like, make it a whole direct with a bunch of different stuff, you know?
Yeah. That's always better.
Yeah, so I guess from my perspective, I just think there's plenty to talk about, and it's right between the last Direct and E3 right now. Like, it's 2 months after the last Direct, and it'll be 2 months before the E3 presentation, so I feel like it's a good time.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. And if there isn't news, there will probably be like Pokemon news either the week before E3 or sometime late May, But that's just Pokemon Company always doing their own thing.
Oh, yes. Oh, that's right.
Yeah, so just a reminder, everybody, you can expect some Pokemon news, usually just before E3.
Right.
Which is going to be fun, because Sword and Shield, come on. It's going to be great. I'm stoked for that game. So here's my next question for you, Sergio. If there is a Direct, and more, not a Smash Direct, like a regular Direct, do you think it would have Animal Crossing?
Yes, I think it would. If it is, like you said, if it's a traditional Direct that features not just one Nintendo game. Yes, I think so, and I think it just makes so much sense that it has to. This would be a perfect opportunity, probably not to show a lot of the game. I can see them showing the official subtitle in a couple of the new features, and then saying something like, stay tuned for more details either in our E3 presentation in June, like the official one probably on the Tuesday of E3, or something like, stay tuned for a lot more details in our Treehouse Live events during E3, when they really spend a lot of time going into the nitty gritty of this awesome game that we've been waiting so long for. So yeah, if there is a Direct, it just makes so much sense. It better have Animal Crossing in it.
Yeah, and I mean, I love the Treehouse stuff at E3, like, because we're not only going to see like a, big Direct presentation type of thing. 8 hours a day they have treehouse stuff going on.
Yes.
At least for like the next 8 hours. It's a full-time gig for these Nintendo employees. So for the next 8 hours, they have like good half-hour, 2-hour segments on games, and then there's tiny breaks in between, but while they set up the next thing. But yeah, it's pretty like it's non-stop content.
Yes. Mhm.
And so I expect us to, if we're going to see anything anywhere, we're going to have a huge treehouse segment on Animal Crossing. So it'll be like an Animal Crossing Direct. That's what I'm waiting for. Oh, it's going to be so good. So I'm going to, when you said yes, it made me smile, but I'm going to say the frowny face answer right now. I think this is the last possible Direct that Nintendo can torture us.
No.
And they can go this other one without mentioning Animal Crossing.
Right.
Because like if they don't mention Animal Crossing at E3, that's when fans are going to start doubting. That's when the stock I guess the shareholders come in and be like, we thought there were going to be no more delays in 2019. What's up with Animal Crossing?
Right.
It seems to be a big game that people want because, they're going to be aware of the different games' fan bases. And, they're investing in Nintendo to get something back out of it, which is a higher stock price. So
Right.
if they don't want to see that drop, they're going to have to show Animal Crossing at that point.
Yes.
But so yeah, I think this is the last time they could truly mess with us. The bummer about that is I just feel it's a missed opportunity, a huge missed opportunity to not have like a trailer coincide with Reggie going away. Because that's the moment in Animal Crossing. That's like the theme right there where you are just hurt because your best friend moved away and all they left you was a letter,
Yes.
So yeah, it's just you can't miss that opportunity to have such a major real life event coincide with a game that you make. And so yeah, I don't know. I would not like them to miss that, but I can see them going till June without showing us something, which it's just unfortunate, and I completely expect them to make. I mean, once they've messed with us that much, I think they would show Animal Crossing as the very last thing during the E3. They would even wait till the last moment because I just feel like they want to. They want to mess with us, and I'm tired of it.
Oh, for sure.
But it's all right. Because the problem is I'm gonna forgive them. I'm gonna give them 100% because it's Animal Crossing. Like, who is? It's what we've waited for, So I hope we get something in this month. But if we have to wait, we'll wait. It's fine. I say it reluctantly, but I know I'm gonna be happy when I do see it.
Yeah, for sure. I just think it makes so much sense for it to be this month because we kind of joked about it, but it seems like Reggie is retiring in order to be able to play this game a lot, which, I mean, who can blame him?
Yeah, and he's done that before where he's like, well, I've got to go and keep playing Animal Crossing on my 3DS. He has said those words.
Yes.
And I mean, that would be the ultimate send-off to just have him go, well, I'm retiring. I better go off and spend my time playing Animal Crossing. Because that's cute. It's just cute.
Yeah, he could even say, "Oh, you guys haven't seen it? Well, let me show you." And then we get a first trailer. Oh, that'd be amazing.
If it ends, oh my goodness. I would cry. Tears would stream down my face. I would fill a cup of my tears. And then somebody would come in and be like, hey, you drinking the ocean or something? I don't know. But it would just be beautiful. And that's why I want them. I would want Reggie to say that. I would want them to not miss this opportunity to have this send off of a person that is very tied into the Nintendo community, and it just coincides so well with how Animal Crossing is a part of our lives.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So. I'm excited. I'm just excited. And I feel like lately this past week was the hardest for me, I feel,
Mm.
for this wait. Because I just felt, I'm frustrated. I felt frustrated all week. I was just like, I am bored of waiting. I'm tired of it. And yeah, it's gotten to the point where I've gotten tweets from people who are like, maybe you're complaining a little too much. And I'm like, I know I am. And I'm trying not to, but it's all I think about right now.
Yeah, I mean, every day that passes, it's one more day without anything, and then we keep seeing all these other games getting announced and shown at the same time. It's just not fair, and it's very hard not to be, I guess, complaining a little bit or just kind of losing patience. So it is
Hmm.
difficult. We're trying our best, and we know that it's gonna be worth it for sure.
Yeah, definitely. And yeah, like you said, it's just hard to not like we do this podcast, we're thinking about it all the time. We have a community around this. We're still thinking about it all the time, even when we're not doing
Yes.
it. So that's definitely the hard part about it. But yeah, I think to loosen it up a little bit, I think the next week I'm going to be working on some stuff to talk about, games I'm looking forward to that are going to fill that Animal Crossing void. So I know, is it this week? Let me take a look. No, next week. Darn.
Oh,
Next week, My Time at Portia comes out, and that's a game I've been excited about.
nice.
It's a life sim. It's farming. It looks like it's going to be a good way for me to spend time waiting for Animal Crossing and just get a little taste of that life sim game I like to play.
Right.
Yeah. So let's move on to our next topic. This is another big one and another kind of surprise drop from Nintendo. But let's talk about VR in Animal Crossing, or virtual reality for all of you people who like the long words for stuff. So the other day, Nintendo announced that a Labo set would release that enabled VR gameplay on the Switch, and Labo is their cardboard creation type of thing. You get a game, it teaches you how to build stuff, but then this one, it lets you play some VR games. And then a little bit later, they also showed that some VR features would be added to some games, including Super Mario Odyssey and Zelda Breath of the Wild. And I guess real quickly, I do want to say this. Missed opportunity on not doing it with Yoshi. Maybe
Yes.
Maybe Yoshi is coming out a little later, but like that's a pretty crafty game. That seems like one that would, be fun with some VR stuff, right?
Absolutely. Yes, for sure.
Yeah, and then of course I saw everybody state the obvious, which is like, come on, Pokemon Snap.
Oh,
we've
yeah.
we've got to get Pokemon Snap. Like that's the game right there. I think there's a straight up camera in the set.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
So Nintendo, you're getting there. So what did you think of the VR announcement?
I thought it was pretty cool. I guess my favorite part is actually the games. When they finally got around to showing the games that are going to be part of the VR bundle, the one where you get a lot of different accessories on top of just the visor part. So, personally, I don't have the best vision. It's fairly poor, actually. So, I don't know if VR is going to work for me. I think it is, based on the specs and the way I see it working. I think it should. So, I'm waiting. I'm not ready to pre-order just yet. I want to try it out. I know that Best Buy and Target locations throughout the US are gonna have demo stations of Labo VR, so that's gonna be something to look forward to. And then if I see that it works, and then I also expect more older Nintendo games to get announced with VR support. I'm thinking maybe ARMS might have something, or definitely Yoshi's Crafted World, like you said. I think since it just came out, I guess, yeah, it's coming a little bit later, but I can definitely see that game getting that. And as more games get it, I think it's just an indication that Nintendo wants this feature in a lot of their games. And a couple of the later hitting games like Pokemon or Animal Crossing, they might even have it from day one. So if that's the case, yeah, for sure, I'm going to be interested.
Yeah, and then like because like we have Pokemon Go that's already like augmented reality where you can straight up see Pokemon in your world,
Right.
which is really awesome. Yeah, I guess I really do wonder how it works with people who don't have the best vision. So
Mhm.
I'm excited for you to try it out, so you can kind of give us a just a little taste of what it's like.
Right, right.
So that'll be good. Yeah, I guess my thought. I saw the VR and I was like, cool, I'm in. I think it's awesome. I
Yeah.
think this is a great idea. I think a lot of people ignore that Nintendo did VR in the past because it was in the form of the Virtual Boy, which is, generally a failure in the market. So VR has not gone well for them in the past, but they've done it before. They know that they have ideas. Of course, they're an idea company. They have a lot of different things that happen. I think the thing that mostly sold me on it, though, I don't know how many people follow Nintendo Life on YouTube, but Alex Onsley from Nintendo Life did a whole video going over VR, and they're a European website, and they had
Mhm.
an event where they could try it out and everything. And the stuff they described near the end of their video was pretty amazing to me, where you could essentially make these VR games and through using kind of the garage,
Right.
at least Labo Garage, right? Is that what they call it?
Yes. Mhm.
Yeah, so it seemed pretty in depth, like what you could do, and that's unique to me. That like making your own VR games. I mean, I don't know how complex or how simple you would be able to go, but that alone is like pretty interesting to me. So
Yeah, for sure.
that's got me kind of over the edge. Yeah, I have not pre-ordered it yet, with all that said, but I'm thinking about it. I'm pretty close. Because it seems like the most in-depth Labo kit they've made so far. Um,
Yeah, for sure. And something I left out is that, like you said, they announced additional content for both Super Mario Odyssey and Zelda Breath of the Wild in terms of just VR support. I really like the fact that they're kind of showing different approaches they can take because for Odyssey they're actually building brand new missions that are VR only. So that's pretty much new content for the game. But for Zelda, it's something a little simpler. It's just the main game as you have it, but you're able to see it in VR. So it's a simpler approach, but it shows you that Nintendo is looking at different ways to put VR in their games. It could be new content, a little bit of it, or it could just be VR viewing of the game as is. I like that there's different approaches.
yeah, and I really wonder how it'll turn out with you. Like, the whole thing doesn't really have a head strap that goes onto your head. You're just kind of
Right.
holding a custom, like, little cardboard controller holder with your
Right.
Joy-Con. Um, so it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to feel like how it plays, how it looks, and all of that. Yeah. I did kind of go to Target to see, because Target has been having all the old Labo kits for like $21, what,
Oh.
20.99 plus tax or whatever. And so I took a look. Both the Target near my work and the Target near where I live, they're completely out. Like if you go and see those
Oh.
shelves, they are gone. And I was like, oh man, I was really interested now that it was $20 to buy in, because that's a good cut. That's 25% of the price, because it's usually
Yeah.
80, right?
Yes. Hmm.
Yeah, so that's a huge cut, and I would have liked to have that. um, but yeah, so now let's talk about the obvious thing here. We love Animal Crossing. How would you feel about Animal Crossing getting VR support?
I would be for it. I just think it does make a lot of sense for something like Animal Crossing, especially because it has very limited camera views. It's always like a little bit of top down. I know when you're in your home, you can rotate a little bit, but even then, it's still just like a semi top view, never really something else. Very, very fixed camera angle. So I think it would be very nice for Animal Crossing to have it. And like I said, if Nintendo wants VR in their games to be like a thing, to be like a constant new feature in their games, games like Animal Crossing should either have it from day one or could get it eventually. In a couple of their older games too. I was also thinking Mario Tennis Aces could have a VR mode. I think that would actually work really well.
Um, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, sorry. It was getting real choppy for me for a second.
Oh, okay.
Um, what did you say at the end after like Mario Tennis Aces?
That I think it could work really well.
Oh yeah, cool. Yeah, I guess what I like what you were saying is that like with the fixed camera angles, right? That we
Yes.
get in Animal Crossing, especially in like the I guess general town view. Um, Typically you
Right.
just get the one angle in the pin world type of setting. Um, so yeah, like there hasn't really been a way to look at your town in a different way, you know?
Right.
And so yeah, I mean I'd be open for Animal Crossing having VR support because of that for sure. Like the first thing I imagined when I thought of this was like I want to see what the world is like when I'm in it. You know, that makes me
Yeah.
really excited. Like being able to see different angles of my town or even like in my home and sit on a couch or something and look at what my home looks like. Watch the TV, you know, for once
Oh.
on there. Um, so yeah, I think that's definitely an exciting thing for me. So yeah, I don't think the whole game would be in VR, obviously, but
Right.
I
Right.
think as long as there's like an option to view it from that at some point, that's great to me.
Yes, for sure.
So, what would you like to be able to do with VR in Animal Crossing?
So I don't think they would actually build like mini game type experiences on Animal Crossing. I think it would be something a little more laid back, more focused on, like you said, on different ways to look at either your town, your house, like any room in your house, being able to kind of see it from all different kind of angles. That would be really awesome. They could even have it so that if you have a VR kit, you're able to see either the whole game or just your home, the rooms in your house in first person, so you can see all the detail, all the corners, everything around you. And yeah, that's what I want to see. I want to see different camera angles implemented. I was also even thinking of like the museum could have sort of like VR mini documentaries that Blathers would make, and it would be of, for example, of the dinosaurs, like when they were alive and how they looked. You could see that in VR. Imagine that.
Yeah, and that makes me think of like those little flip camera things.
Yes.
What are those called? I totally forget.
Oh
Like
no.
like the View-O-Matic or something or
Yes.
something. Is that it? I don't remember. Um,
Something like that. Yeah.
but yeah, you like flip the switch and it shows you the next slide, and that those were always really awesome.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, I love that idea. Like being able to go and see VR exhibits at the museum. That is cool. I would do that all the time for sure. And so yeah, I guess obviously I want to seeing my town or home in VR, or you know my camper if they add that into the game. Not
Oh
sure.
yes.
Um, but the first thing I tweeted about was like KK Slider in concert
Yes.
in VR, sitting in that chair and seeing him perform like you're there. Yes, that would be truly incredible. I would love it. And
Oh, for sure.
then yeah, outside of that, I was thinking like doing some of the activities, like diving underwater, kind of seeing what is under the ocean floor, you know,
Oh yeah.
or fishing and bug catching in VR. Just like fun little things, fun little ways to play the game and do just the regular life stuff, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know. I think it's cool. Austin on Twitter has always been tweeting me about you know, the possibility of VR in Animal Crossing. And as soon as I saw Nintendo essentially announce that Breath of the Wild and Super Mario Odyssey were getting VR, I tweeted her back and I was just like, it looks like you're right. Like this is the realest possibility at this point. So it's exciting. I think it's really, it would be fun. And now I just need them to have museum exhibits in VR.
Yeah, for sure. And I think it's safe to say that Nintendo would be very good at implementing VR features that wouldn't be too tiring. Like you said, because you have to hold the system up to your face and keep it there to have the full VR experience. I think they would come up with little things that work, and then you just move on and go back to playing the regular way. I think Nintendo is very good at that kind of thing.
Yeah, you're totally right. Like it needs to be kind of a shorter type of experience just because of, that's not going to be the most comfortable way to play.
Right, right.
I I know I don't really play with like a controller right up to my face because it's probably I don't know, I probably can't do anything very well when I do that. So,
Right.
yeah, it makes sense to have it be like just a short implementation, something that you can do in like 2 minutes, I would say.
Right, right.
Yeah, it can't be long. But regardless, I'm already dreaming about just seeing my world from the VR angles because I don't know, and I guess this also could be a disappointing thing for people who don't want to buy in to the VR experience, because that's a real issue too. Like the money to get into it is it can be what holds a lot of people back.
Yes. Mhm.
And they do have like the cheaper option, which is like $30, I believe. Um,
It's $40. The one that has the essentials that you need to start getting into VR.
yeah, so even then, like $40 on top of a $60 game, which we're probably gonna assume that it's gonna be $60,
Right.
And
Hmm.
that's $100 right there to play Animal Crossing. And in many ways, it's worth it for a lot of us who have the money. Just because, I played 1,000 hours of Animal Crossing. My $60 that I spent, actually, New Leaf, I probably spent $80 because I bought the game 3 times. But
Ooh.
that went a long way, That
Oh yes.
$80 gave me a whole lot of entertainment. So yeah, I guess that's the tough part for it with me. Is just knowing that there are going to be people who could possibly be left out. Like, what if there is no way to look at your town in all of these angles without VR? And that would be disappointing, I would say, for a lot of people.
Yes. Agreed. Hmm. Hmm.
Yeah, so it's a good bonus for, the people who can buy in, but, it's hard to feel happy when, people are getting left out of something that's so great. And yeah, that's all I wanted to say about that, I think.
No, for sure, and I think that's why Nintendo might be interested, and it would be beneficial for them to add VR features to a lot of their games so that you can more easily justify the $40. Well, I get it for Animal Crossing, and it also works in Odyssey and Zelda and Arms and this and that, so it just makes it a lot easier.
Yeah, and they have been doing that with Amiibo in the past. Like,
Yes.
sure, you buy one figure, but you can use a whole lot of them in a lot more games than just Smash Bros, which is what they usually came out for, at least in the beginning.
Right. That's right.
So yeah, they've done a good job with that. Like Amiibo support is still happening in the Switch era, even though like they didn't really have to do that. Like they could have just abandoned it
Yeah.
after the Wii U. But no, they still work it in. Like you can still scan even all of your old Amiibo into Crafted World and
Yes.
get like different costumes. So if that's any sign or indicator of support for VR in the future, I guess I just hope it is. I hope it's
Yes.
a sign that they're going to continue supporting VR and giving it more use in more games.
Yes, for sure.
So let's go ahead and move on to the last portion of the show. And usually this one's pretty short, I guess, or shorter, but this week it's going to be a little bit bigger. This is Haken's Villager Corner. For those of you who don't know, we ask a question of our patrons on Patreon every week, and we go through their answers with everyone. So this week's question is, how many Animal Crossing Switch towns are you planning to have? If more than one, do you plan to have a main town and others as backups, resource centers, or will you be giving them equal love and attention and time? And Sergio, you posted this question on our Discord, and then I was like, Oh no, this is perfect. This is a great question for Haken Villager Corner. um, so I want to spend some time with you answering these questions. So are you
Oh.
thinking of having more than one town?
Oh man, so for the longest time I did. And yeah, I feel like this is the million bell question now because I keep going back and forth. Right now, I'm actually leaning more towards having just one town and having all my time and attention towards it and just having it the best and the cleanest and the most awesome that it can be. And they would also give me the opportunity to kind of redo it. Every year or so, meaning like redoing the layout and just saving different items or even different public works projects if those come back, and then just like redoing or having different themes, changing them up every year, but keeping the one town. I'm leaning towards that. I could always change back even as soon as tomorrow.
Yeah, definitely. For me, I guess I've always thought about having two towns. At least two.
Hmm.
My original thing was I want to play my town in English, and then I want to have a second town in Japanese, and finally start learning Japanese, essentially.
Oh,
Because I've
right.
heard Animal Crossing is a really great game for people learning Japanese. Like, it starts you off with, like, vocabulary that you would have, as, like, a little kid or something. So
Right, right.
that's my knowledge of Japanese language right now. Like, I am a child and I would have to learn from the start. So yeah, I've just heard good things about that being the case. So this number fluctuates for me because I know I want two for that reason. But now I'm thinking I might want three. And this is partly because, like, I know Animal Crossing is like a shared experience, but over the years, I feel like it's also become a very selfish experience for me where I like to have a lot of control over my town and what I do and everything.
Right.
But at the same time, it's something that I really want to share with Jackie in some way.
Hmm.
And I don't know if she would be interested in starting her own town or if she just wants to be like in a two-player town, essentially. Um, I guess my biggest hope is that we actually do get like split screen multiplayer, and Jackie and I can just like
Hmm.
log into a town and spend time together playing and doing our thing in the
Right.
same place, because I think that'd be fun. That's something we've never been able to do before, and like live in the same town and then play in the same town together. Like that.
Yes, for sure.
That's literally something we have not been able to do,
Right.
and
Hmm.
it's something I want to be able to do. And just thinking of playing with Jackie that way, I think it'd be pretty fun. But at the same time, I'm just like, I don't know, maybe I still want to have my own town though. And
Right.
what if she wants to have her own town after she's been playing for a bit and she's like, oh no, you're too bossy. I want to do this, and and I just want to do what I want, because at some point I feel like you hit that where you want to do what you want.
Right.
um, yeah, so I guess in terms of your second part of the question, I guess my first town would, of course, be like my focus and everything. And then my second
Hmm.
town, if I had a second town, the main focus would probably just be learning Japanese.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, so that's what I would feel if I made multiple towns. I don't know if I would give them equal love and attention because
Right.
that seems really hard to do at the beginning of an Animal Crossing game. Like that first month, you are busy. There's a lot to do and a lot you're trying to accomplish in that time. So I don't know. I would like to take that in and be, pretty dedicated to the first town that I start.
Yeah, for sure. That makes sense. And you know what? This is so funny. I said I could change my mind as soon as tomorrow. I think I'm already starting to change my mind based on what you said about learning Japanese because it reminded me that one of my main second town, because there were more than another one. So the main second town was in Spanish. And I loved the way the translation went and they gave the personalities to the villagers very, very different. They felt so unique. I remember one of them gave me a nickname Pescadito, which is little fish, and I just love that. So, oh man, you kind of already changed my mind on this.
And now you're making me want to play in Spanish too to see what
Yes.
that is like too. Because that would be. Now I want 4 towns. You know what? 8 towns. You're right. um, so also, I guess I want to tell people something because I have a feeling how the different towns are going to work on a Switch is going to be how the profiles have worked on the Switch so far.
Mhm.
So if you share a Switch with your family or anything, you know, or a lot of you know that like when you play a game as your own profile, it's associated with your own save files. It's not really mixed in with the other people on the console, you know?
Mhm. Mhm.
You just get your own unique thing. So my suspicion is Animal Crossing is going to work the same way. So files are going to be associated with profiles on the Switch. So my guess is that everyone will be able to make 8 towns on their Switch from the get-go. So
Yes. Mhm.
you know the save files are saved on the Switch. They're not saved on the cartridge. They're not saved anywhere else. Like it's tied to the Switch system. So if you buy another cartridge of Animal Crossing, you're just going to be logging into your own save. Like I don't think you're going to unlock 8 more towns that you can start, you know?
Right.
Um,
That's right.
yeah, because it's not saved on the cartridge at all. You're going to be on the system. And so like if you want 8 more towns, which that's already so many, I don't know if anybody needs more than 8 towns, but if you do, you're probably going to need another Switch to do that. And another
Right.
family plan if you want them all to be connected to
Oh,
internet. Um,
that's right.
but you know, if you are playing I guess by yourself a lot, and you do have that many towns, it probably benefits you to have 2 Switches. And this takes me back to your story about buying 2 Wii Us to trade between both Animal Crossing towns.
Right.
Um, so yeah, that's my suspicion with how the saves will work. But yeah, I guess should we start getting into our Haken villagers and their answers?
Sure.
Cool. So I guess last time I started, how about we swap it again?
Sounds good. So our first answer this week is by Zekken. And the answer is I'll probably have two. Mainly because I want to keep my first town. My other account is Japanese because some stuff is exclusive to the Japanese eShop. So I don't know if that's gonna affect my language at all, but as far as I know, it doesn't. So it sounds like Seiken is going with two towns.
Yeah, and like I said, I want to learn Japanese, so if I can play in Japanese, that's going to be great.
Yes.
I definitely want that. And yeah, I would assume that it would be associated, since it's associated to a Japanese account, I would assume that it's going to play in
Right.
Japanese.
That's right.
Yeah. So Emily says, Emily with 1 Y, I plan on having just one until I get bored of my main town. My second one will be themed. I imagine I'd create my second one 1 to 2 years in. I wouldn't be able to multitask with 2 towns at the very start of the game. It would take up so much time. To me, a resource town would feel like cheating. I like to keep my first town super pure from cheats, so I won't be utilizing the feature for that reason. I agree with that for sure. With my first town, like I don't start doing all the sketchy stuff in Animal Crossing until I'm like 5 years into the game. So yeah, I agree. I like to just earn everything at the beginning because that's like most of the fun. That's where most of the gameplay comes from. And so I would not want to have just like a research or a resource town, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
That's true, and I feel like that's kind of what I did when I got my second town. I'm trying to remember how long it took. It wasn't. I want to say maybe it was like a year after New Leaf came out when I got my second town, and yeah, for sure, it was a field of perfect fruit trees for the most part. So I do feel like that kind of rushed me to get the batches that you got for having a million bells or 10 million. So I kind of wanna don't do that this time and just take my time. It's gonna be a 2 to 3 year game for sure. So yeah, if I do get multiple towns, I'm gonna keep them as separated as I can. Even I don't even wanna trade turnips between them. It's just however it comes, each town is different. Or just one town.
5 year game. I want them to just hit us with DLC that expands the museum, adds new bugs, new fish,
Oh,
because that would be
that would be
awesome.
amazing. Yeah.
5 year game.
Awesome. Our next answer is by Dragon. And he says, to me, Animal Crossing is about having and building a home. For the most part, you can only have one true home. Ergo, you can only have one true town. At least that's mostly how I feel about it. I do understand the gaming aspects and what makes it fun to have multiple towns, and totally respect that. Just for me, one town, Emerald, is all I really need for this game.
Yeah, and that's a good point too. Like some people, and I kind of said this phrase a little bit earlier, but like Animal Crossing is tied to your life in some way, and it happens because it's a game that has a real time clock. So every day is a new day, and it's the same day as the day you're living right now. So
Right.
yeah, it makes sense to feel attached to that one home that you have.
Yeah, for sure. And if as soon as you have another town, even if it's just a second one and no more than two, but any time that you spend there, whether you're treating them the same or it's more like a resource center, in all of that time, you're not spending it on your main town. So you're splitting your time, your attention, and your resources. If you want to do that, that's fine. But at the point that I think Dragon is trying to make is that you're not building your main town, and that's something that you may want to do.
Yeah, definitely. So Tab says, just one. I'm in a pretty busy stage of life and I don't have as much time to play as I used to. I want to put all the time I have to play into my one town. I'm sure I'll stay busy landscaping, fishing, bug catching, growing and selling perfect fruit, interacting with villagers, etc. And yeah, I mean, that's the one big thing. Like we know Animal Crossing's a busy game. It has to have a lot of things for you to do because the nature of the game is that you play every single day. So, yeah, I agree. And you got to think about where people are in life, and everybody's at a different spot that allows them to play so much. So, for some people, they've got a lot of time to dedicate to the game. So, maybe they want to have a second town.
Yes.
And other people, we gotta work. We've got other
Hmm.
responsibilities, take care of kids or something that just keeps you from being able to have or even like manage more than one town.
Yes, for sure. And I like the fact that Tav describes what can be done, even if you suddenly you get more free time, but you still want to have just one town. You can just do landscaping, focus on your fish collection, your bugs. There's always something to do. You in a way you don't need more than one town to keep busy and to keep having fun in Animal Crossing for sure. The next answer is by Verity B, and they say it will definitely depend on whether we'll be able to have multiple towns on the same game. But at the moment, I plan on having one amazing first town that's going to see all of my hard work and time. It would probably just be a forest town with a few side characters. Maybe later down the line I'll have a town based on a certain story or franchise like Zelda. It will also depend a lot on the pace of the game and how easy it is to develop your town and make money, etc. But I know I'll be experimenting a lot as I see the abilities to customize and personalize our town being emphasized once again, and hopefully will have been built in from the last game. Oh, for sure. Everything that carries over from New Leaf, it's going to be very interesting how they change it or if they keep it the same, the pacing of the game, especially.
Yeah, I mean, I imagine this game is going to grow a lot of the existing features in some way. So there's going to be a lot of options, and at some point we might want to explore that, like build
Yes.
a new town just to be like, my theme, it doesn't really fit with what this stuff is, but I still like this stuff, so maybe I'll just start a new town and do that, you know?
Yes, for
So
sure.
yeah, I think that'd be a huge determining factor for people, especially later in the game. I know one of the things I appreciate of Stardew Valley is there was an update where you could start with a different type of farm, and so yeah, I think that just adds to the people's ability to start a new game, get more life out of this Animal Crossing, and be like, oh yeah, I used to have this like foresty town, but now I have this desert town. So
Right.
yeah, I think it'd be really cool to have those features.
Yeah, for sure.
So Sarah says, I plan on having just one town, but probably a few side characters within that town. It really depends on how much content we're getting, and if I feel like I'm even able to manage more than one town. I'm a bad multitasker when it comes to games, so I most likely won't be having any additional towns for a pretty long time. I also don't plan on playing any other games alongside Animal Crossing Switch for a while. Oh man, can relate. Like you and I, we've both actively been playing as many games as possible before this comes out because
Yes.
we know the fact. We're not going to lie about it. We're not going to care about any other game once Animal Crossing is out. This is
Right.
your 2-year vacation.
For sure.
So there's no point in playing anything else.
Yeah, for sure. And yeah, Sarah brings up a good point that even if you have just one town, you can always have more than one character in there. And that already opens up a lot of different possibilities, especially with patterns. So yeah, for sure, that's another thing to consider. Our next answer is by Quantrell Tobal or Q Tobal from our Discord. And he says, it depends. If I can visit Town 2 while playing as my character from Town 1, sure, why not? If I can, at the very least, send letters and gifts between towns, I'll consider it. If it's like New Leaf where I can't interact between a physical and digital copy, then I won't bother. And oh man, Cutabal, we need those details. It's gonna be there's so many questions about that, and I think like you said, if you're gonna have 8 towns, 8 different profiles, I don't think those are gonna be able to interact because it's in the same switch. So yeah, it's gonna be very interesting how it all works out.
Yeah, this is for sure one of my biggest questions because I think what what we lose with our system being associated with our actually, you know what? We might not lose this. So, your different accounts on the Switch, they all get their own, I guess, friend code and everything, you know? And
Mhm.
so I kind of imagine that you would still be able to add somebody on your account as one of your friends and be able to like send a letter if they do bring that feature back. I think
Right.
the interaction you could have still exists through that. The other thing I would be interested in is though Animal Crossing has changed with how connectivity works, the first game, Animal Crossing Population Growing, you essentially traveled between towns by having 2 memory cards in your GameCube. It'd be pretty interesting if you still had that type of travel available to you. Like
Oh,
if it went
uh-huh.
back to the population growing feature and you could visit a town that is on your Switch at the same time. Or
Yeah.
like while they're not there, like go back to that population growing style connectivity.
Right.
And yeah, I think that'd be pretty interesting. I mean, I don't know if that would be possible. I don't know what they were going to do with it, but it would be cool nonetheless.
Yeah, for sure. The more options, the better. I always say.
Yeah. So Lyalatron says, for me, it's one town. I'm happy for multiple areas with different needs, etc. However, what I really want is one big community. I'm happy for the town to be much larger than we expect, and I'm happy to take on extra work for that. I want somewhere that I can grow and cherish. So yeah, they want to be focused on one town and hopefully just have a lot of features to really grow the town, you know?
Yes, and I love that point about Technically, yeah, we don't know the size of the town. What if it's humongous and one town is maybe even more than we could possibly well, we could manage. We can, but it might fulfill the need for people that may want to and they see that these towns are going to be huge and maybe that's more than enough.
Yeah. And maybe it's like what I've been hoping, where we can pay off some sort of loan or contribute to like taxes and grow the town through that, you know?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. The next answer is by Newt. And the answer is I probably will end up having multiple towns. But like with New Leaf, I enjoy exploring and finding tricks and tips and figure things out in one town until I'm happy with how my houses and town looks. I'm hoping we'll get some sort of system like the badge system, as I enjoy the achievement aspect of things and want to do as much as possible, in one town at least. Plus, having one main town would be cool for multiplayer purposes. That's true. We don't know. We also don't know how the achievements are gonna work, so those could keep us busy in one town for a while.
Yeah, and I expect them to come back in some way. I think that was one of
Yes.
the cutest features, one of the most fun features. And, you know, like when we get backpacks, I want to be able to put my badges on my backpack. If that's possible, please, Nintendo. I want to, maybe we should stop thinking of such good ideas, because if they're not in there, we're going to be sad. But they're,
you know,
but they're great ideas.
oh, for sure. And when let's see, if I recall correctly, the last time on that batch was playing 500 hours, correct?
I believe so, yeah.
And when I first saw it, I thought, "Oh man, am I gonna be able to do that?" And now I want a real challenge. Nintendo, make it 5,000.
Oh man, will I be able to do that? And you know what? I didn't get that badge until I was like at 900 hours. Like the game would not give
Oh
it
wow,
to me. I was so upset.
that's right.
Yeah. So Arden and Herman says, at least two, but it depends on how the save files work, since there's two of us that want our own town. Yeah, so Arden and Herman, they're a duo, father-daughter, I believe. And yeah, so they have always played together. And I think it'd be fun for them to easily be able to have their own towns that they, can play and have some fun separately.
Yeah, yeah. Or if they do add multiplayer, especially split screen, who knows? Maybe there's a way to have it so that each one of them is playing on their own town, but at the same time. I mean, leave it up to Nintendo to work some magic on this one.
That would be insane. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if they'd be able to do that. But also, like, they could have their own town and then share one as well, which is,
Right.
like I'm between that option if Jackie decides to play.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Next answer is by Rolu. And they say, I only plan on having one main town, and I already have a name and some ideas for it. If I create a second town, then it would probably only be used for item storage and villager cycling. I don't think I could put the same amount of effort and attention into upkeeping both. It is true, it is very time demanding. Keeping one town is very time consuming but also rewarding. So the same goes for two towns, more time but also more rewards.
Yeah, and it sounds like they also are keeping that option open for, having that second town just to, like a resource town as well.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So Cyborg Jiro says, I'm planning to have two towns if it's easy enough to do. My main town and then maybe a second town specifically set to Japanese language to practice Japanese. So there you go.
Nice.
That's my dream right there.
Yeah, that's an awesome idea for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
The next answer is by Grace, or a penguin named Abraham. The answer is, I think I will stick with one for a year or two, and maybe get another one if I want to start from scratch. I like to just put all my focus into one town until it's properly developed and I start to get kind of bored. It's true. And I think sometimes it's even more difficult to kind of restart your own town. It's a lot easier to just start one from scratch, especially because there are things you cannot change, at least not in previous games. We'll see how the new one is.
Yeah, and that's why people bought multiple copies of the game in the past.
Yeah.
Just to, they want to save that first experience.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So Nernip says, I'd like Or sorry, I'd say more than one, but for all the love and care I pour into my towns, I think I'd inevitably end up neglecting one of them. Sad face. Maybe I'll create a new town a year after release instead, so I can experience every festival twice and then on.
Oh,
Yeah, that's a lot too, because I imagine some of these are gonna be kind of time consuming. I'm looking at you, Halloween. I'm looking at you, Thanksgiving. Those have been pretty extensive in New Leaf, so I imagine they're gonna expand that too.
oh yeah. But imagine if you miss a little something that it's not gonna make the whole experience complete, but you're able to do that on your second town. Maybe, hey,
Yeah,
that's something to
that's
consider.
true. And your other character could get something different,
Yes.
which is always fun. It's always fun to see all the different items you can get.
Yeah, for sure. The next answer is by Trebibu. Ever since Animal Crossing New Leaf, I wanted to have another town where I could have it said in another language to learn it in a way that I know I would enjoy and digest better than just studying. It seems like the Switch will allow for that if I buy the game on another region or if they allowed for more language options. So I plan to have at least two and to eventually use both equally.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's a great idea.
That is good. I like that for sure.
Yeah, and I like that a lot of people are really interested in learning, particularly Japanese, and this is going to be a great resource for sure.
Yeah, I mean, all of us, we want to go and work on the next Animal Crossing game, so we got to learn Japanese to do it. So Jeslyn says, I didn't think about the possibility of having more than one town. I suppose it would depend on how inventory works and how much interaction there can be between towns, because I think there would be so much to do in one town already. I'm pretty sure a second town would be neglected. I added a second character in my New Leaf town as a way to have more storage space and have another place to decorate, but I neglected playing as that character pretty quickly. Though, to be fair, I established that second player pretty late in my New Leaf history, so I was already lax in coming back to my town as it was. That's a good point. I've done the same thing, where I start like a second character, and then all of a sudden, they just happen to have a really full closet. It's just extra storage space for me. So we need more storage space, Nintendo. Work on that. Pocket
For
camp
sure,
amounts of
that
storage.
yeah, that would eliminate a lot of very inactive people in towns for sure.
Mm-hmm.
The next answer is by Sasha505, and she says, "Just one for now. I tried having two towns at the same time in New Leaf, but it didn't work. I want to focus on one town this time and put all of my love and time in it. I want to stick with one town and not neglect it like I did last time. I might have another town in the future though, who knows? Still, I'm not sure how attached I would be to my second town. I always love my first town the most. We'll just have to wait and see." That's true. I mean, you've spent so much time in love for sure into your first town. When you start a second one, you might just have a different plan for it. It's really not gonna be the first experience all over again.
Yeah, definitely. Things will be different, but finding that right time to make a new town is going to be what people are going to wonder about.
Right, right.
So our final answer is from Waffles, one of our new patrons. I hadn't thought of the possibility of more than one town, but if it was something we could do without purchasing additional software, I would probably try it out, because in the population growing days, I had two towns set in different seasons and with different fruit to keep things interesting. And you know what? That's pretty cool too,
Oh,
because you can set one town to the northern hemisphere and one to the southern hemisphere and have the season swapping at opposite intervals,
right.
which would be pretty interesting to
Oh,
experience.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so yeah, I guess everybody had really awesome answers with all of this. I'm pretty excited to see what I guess people decide to do in the end. And
Mhm.
I'm excited to just see that at least first town from everyone. So
Yeah,
it should be a lot of fun.
yeah, for sure. And I kind of think that it's safe to say that a lot has changed since New Leaf, and the world overall it's a lot more connected, a lot more online. So it's gonna be a lot easier to visit other towns, and I think that's an option. For example, for me, that I was saying I want to see a town in Spanish. Maybe if there's a couple that I can visit anytime, maybe that's enough for me, and I don't have to have a second one. There's always gonna be someone to play with, and I think that's the awesome part about Haken and all the community members that we have. We're all so eager and hungry for this game. We're gonna be all over it when it comes out, and there's always gonna be so many towns to visit. It's gonna be awesome.
Oh yeah, that I mean we haven't even like talked about that, like just being able to play with other people. That could just fill our need for other towns for sure.
Yeah.
Cuz yeah, it's a different world now. Like we're since starting this community, we've met so many people and it's going to be just tons of fun being able to play with everyone.
Yes.
So thank you all so much for listening. If you want to be part of the conversation on all things Animal Crossing, please join our Discord. I have a link in the description of this podcast. It's totally free to join. You don't have to be a patron. And if you do join, you can get Sergio and my friend codes. And if you do want to become a patron, visit patreon.com/ChewyPlaysNintendo. For just $1, you can support our show and get tons of cool things. You can see our current goals to improve the show and our content. And I've just updated our goal. Our $100 goal is now different. It's going to be for Haken art every single month, which would be really fun. And we're going to try to make a calendar after a year of that. So
nice.
I want that calendar already. And you've already seen about 3 pieces of art for Haken already. And so if you like those, there's going to be more to come once we hit that goal for sure.
Nice.
And yeah, we try to make it really worth it for everybody who supports because we appreciate it. It's totally optional. And yeah, we really appreciate that generosity. If you're watching or listening on YouTube, please leave a comment about whether or not you want 1 or 2 towns or more. Just let us know how many towns you want to have in this next game. And please leave a review of the show wherever you're listening. It helps the show gain some visibility and allows our community to grow. And once again, thank you for listening, and we hope you have a great week.
Goodbye, everybody.